So today's Saturday, February 10th, and I find myself doing a little bit of work so I can final this proposal. We've been a project for a local restaurant, but the industry is getting a little tougher and also sloppy. Well, in reality, this guy is his craftsmanship is decent, but the knowledge is bad because this box does not have enough space for the turning radius of the wire coming in from the bottom and out the back into the space. So that's a 2.5 inch conduit. So in between this conduit and the one going behind it, there should be a distance of 15 inches according to the NEC. So, but what gets me though is that they come up with this regulations on the NEC 2020 now that we're on. And now what they want to do is they want to put everything under a hood, under a kitchen hood, GFI protected, which in this case is not that big of a deal because they're all 20 amp circuits. It used to be, I believe it was the 2000, either 14 or 17 that they used to only require GFI protection under a kitchen hood to circuits that were either 115 amp or 20 amp at 120 volts. Now they're saying anything under the hood has to be GFI protected. And sometimes you got those deep fryers and what have you, and they have to be under the hood, of course, and they have to be GFI protected. They don't make a 50 or 60 amp GFI outlet. So what we got to do is we got to put GFI breakers. And I'm looking at this thing right here too. Some of them, they don't even make them anymore, or not even yet. But I was looking at this plan, so I'm looking at the roof plan. And another thing too is that now they don't let you use a swamp cooler for makeup per unit. You got to use something more sophisticated. But water authority here in the valley, because it's a desert, they don't want us to waste water on swamp coolers, so they banned the swamp coolers, and now we gotta use this type of almost like AC looking things, but they're makeup per units. But this guy is saying that this makeup per unit is gonna draw 100 amps, and then I got the RTUs at roughly 50 or 60 amps with 60 amp 3-pole disconnects. But what gets me though is that when I go to the panel schedule, here are all of them: RTU 1, 2, makeup per unit, RTU 3 and 4, and it's got a note. It says note 1. When I refer to his notes, he's saying that has to be GFI protected. Oh no, it doesn't say GFI protected. I don't know what I was thinking. On this side though, number 1 is, that's why I got confused, because on this side, number 1 is GFI, number 2 is HACR breaker, which of course that's the breakers that we use. But on this side over here, number 1 is the same as number 2 over here, so I was a little confused. But anyway, so so mainly what I was gonna mention was that when you have a 50 amp or a 40 or a 60 amp circuit under the hood, so you have to use a GFI outlet, which they don't exist. So you have to use a GFI breaker. But that also depends. They might not be available because, like for instance, the AIC rating on this panel, it's supposed to be 42,000. This one's 42,000, and I think he did the artful calculations, the AIC calculations, and that's where he came up with that value. So this one supposedly is 30, and of course I think the next AIC rating on panels will be 42. I think it ranges from 10 to 14 to, I believe, 21, and then 42 and 65. But some of these breakers they don't make. And going back to the scenario that I was about to show is that now, that's what it says right there. It says meeting requirements of NEC code is 210.A B Class A GFI electrical protection in commercial kitchen installations. So now they don't make, because some of the breakers, the GFI breakers that they sell are only like 10,000 AIC rating. And on this one, we have a 42. So they don't make a 42 AIC rating breaker, GFI breaker. So we're having to end up putting this things for protection, GFI protection. So it's just getting a lot more expensive than what it used to be. But all we got to do is just pass it along to the clients. We have no choice. It gets a lot more expensive to build something here in the valley. And I think it's, the NEC, so it's got to be nationwide. But on top of that, here locally, they don't allow us to use swamp coolers anymore. So the ones that are existing, they get grandfathered in. But anything new being installed, it has to be that efficient makeup per unit. It cannot be a swamp cooler used as makeup per unit for the exhaust fans under the kitchen hood. So there's where it's at.